everyone. Okay, so just jumping right into it. This episode kind of rearranged the beginning of chapter 281 to later in the episode, which I I actually kind of liked because, to be fair, it was more than likely done that way because we want in order to put all the focus on Faust in the first chunk of the episode, which honestly does make a lot of sense considering everything that happened to him here and how ultimately, when you look at it, Faust did make the ultimate sacrifice for everyone to proceed. And honestly, when you get down to it, Faust sacrificing himself was kind of the only thing he knew he could do. I mean, obviously his sacrifice, and obviously Faust's whole biggest goal this whole time was to pretty much become Shaman King and to pretty much and to pretty much make Eliza and to make Eliza like whole again, to make her of the living again. But the thing is, I think obviously his the thing about his sacrifice is obviously it's symbolic of the fact that he had found a new reason for fighting and living, which is to help and protect those he cares about. But which in itself shows through the time he spent with Yo and the others, he started to realize. I think through the time he spent with Yo and the others, he realized there was just kind of a bit of an inhumane aspect to pretty much giving her new life again, as she had already lived enough of a life as it was. So I think by him like choosing to sacrifice himself, I think he started to realize there truly was no really bringing Eliza back. She was pretty much always, in some way or another, she was always going to be gone for good. And the best way for him, I think, he realized for her to truly reunite with her is to join her in the afterlife, for better or worse. I think this is going to be this is a permanent thing for Faust, I believe. Um, that said, let's get the obligatory criticism out of the way, which is that this is one of those episodes where it felt like more could have been adapted, but at the same time, there was that they adapted a lot too. Like we adapted all the way to chapter 287, which but the weird again, it's one of those weird things where with the Shaman King episodes, it always feels like there's more that could have been adapted, considering we only have 3 episodes left. But I also know from reading the manga that events are going to be happening at breakneck pace from here, so I think they can still it is ultimately still all going to work out in the end, I think. It also helps that the episode does have an after credit scene, so for anime watchers, watch out for those because I get the feeling we're gonna have a lot of those like after credits scenes in this final stretch of the anime. Um, that said, that said, Camel's children die in this episode, and honestly, this was a moment from the manga I was kind of keeping in the back of my mind and questioning: is the reboot really gonna go through with that, like killing the kids? And yeah, I got my answer. Like it was really, honestly, like both in the manga and the anime, it's a really bold choice in order to kill kids. But just going through with it, that is like kind of like an is always kind of like a bit of a whiplash thing to begin with. And even more than that, though, we learn the hard truth about but through that we also learn of what the hard truth about what animates the golem, which is the spirit of the two children's mother is the two children's mother is basically the spirit that powers the golem, and which is so many, and to me that is so many levels of tragic and fucked up because when you really look at when you really look at this revelation as a whole, it's one of those where you understand that the father had good intentions with doing what he did to protect he did what he did to protect his kids because he wouldn't survive trying to kill Hal, so who better to protect them than the spirit of their own mother. But just at the same time, just knowing he used the mother's soul to power the golem, again, it's so emotionally fucked up, especially with the kids never realizing it until now. Like everything the golem does are the actions of that of a mother protecting their children. So it's one of those where you don't think about it in the moment, but when it's finally revealed, it's like, holy shit, that makes so much sense. And it is, yeah, it really just kind of says, holy shit, that actually happened. Um, From there, though, our heroes move on to the Highland Plain where they meet Callum, and even though the confrontation with him was vastly cut down compared to the manga, I kind of appreciate it for that, just to kind of reinforce Horohoro's desire to just talk it out with him. Whereas, and Callum always did feel like one of the more like calm and reserved members of the patch, so it when looking at the manga, it did feel out of character that pretty much that Horo said he wanted to talk and just rest and all that, and then Callum immediately afterwards just attacked him. So it felt a little out of character in Callum's case for that. So I'm glad they actually did kind of cut that out. And again, of of course, the episode from here pretty much picks up again when it's revealed how gave up his spirit of fire away to his spirit of fire to red sap, pretty much as a message to Yo that I'm at this I'm at the Great Spirit and I'm waiting for you. And I do like how there was this legitimate reason for them to even take a breather before fighting again, as Yo recognized they're not only running low on Furyoku, but they were just in general overtaxing themselves, and in general it allowed them the upper. So it was even if it might have kind of like slowed the pacing down a bit, since like that they do have a legitimate reason, which is to regain their strength before fighting again, and I do like it for that. And if anything else, I feel the one thing this episode did is it definitely great at is putting all the final pieces on the board, because with the Spirit of Fire in the possession of Yo's group, we know Lyserg is to take control of it now, and Ganhara pretty much has all the elemental spirits, with Earth being the only one left to conquer and to subjugate. So this episode is pretty much like pacing all those final pieces on the board needed for the final confrontation to take place. And again, I love how just getting this moment to reflect, and we get to see allows us to see Yo at his most like calm and logical. Like everything Yo is doing and saying in this episode is looking at it from the logical perspective, and how for as much of a threat as How has become now, that he started to commune with the Great Spirit, Yo still operates under the idea that they still can't go rushing in, otherwise they're guaranteed to die. And from there, so everything that feels kind of like that's padded out, it does have a legitimate purpose. And otherwise they're guaranteed to die. So yeah. But from there, we cut back to Manta reuniting with Anna and Mikihisa, and yeah, honestly, I would have liked to actually see that conversation between Manta and his father, and I was hoping it was something that the anime was going to change, but it still gets the point across that everything now, it all depends on what happens within the next couple hours and how everything ends. Like the fate of both the shaman world and the human world all depend on what happens in this fight now. So yeah. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Twitter, Analyst Control. Be sure to hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, everyone.